We would like to welcome you all to this third GAHP info session. Today we have Mrs. Jennifer Chapin and Mrs. Sandra Page-Cook that will be doing presentation for us. They will be talking about the Journal of Health and Pollution and its close collaboration with ENASP. And Mrs. Chapin will provide an overview of AuthorAID, which is actually a program of ENASP. Just for a brief background, Mrs. Jennifer Chapin coordinates the communications of research at ENASP. She manages AuthorAID program, which supports the capacity of researchers in developing countries to communicate their research to different actors and to increase the quality and quantity of their research publications. Mrs. Sandra Page-Cook has been working for Pure Earth for many years and is the managing editor of the Journal of Health and Pollution at Pure Earth. Please note that this will be a 20 to 30 minutes presentation followed by a Q&A session. If you have any questions you would like to ask, you can either ask them directly afterwards, or please feel free to put them into the GoToMeeting chat, and they will be definitely asked anonymously if you would prefer. Now on to you, Sandy.
Thank you, Lucy. Welcome, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are. As mentioned by Lucy, I am the managing editor of the Journal of Health and Pollution. Journal of Health and Pollution is a quarterly, online-only scientific journal published by Pure Earth. We have no charges to readers or authors. We're grant-funded by the World Bank and the European Union, and we focus on environmental contamination and related impacts to human health, focusing on low and middle income countries. Here's an email address for me, and the email address on the first slide is also valid. Either one will work. As already mentioned, the journal is fully peer-reviewed. We have a minimum of 2 reviewers per article, and our mission is to promote original research around environmental contamination in low and middle income countries. But in addition to the science of our mission, we have a very important goal of encouraging authors, especially first and corresponding authors from affected countries. We're very proud of our record publishing first and corresponding authors from low and middle income countries. We do a couple of things to make this happen. One of them is that we provide free copy editing to all accepted manuscripts, not all manuscripts, but every manuscript that is accepted from a scientific and technical point of view. We will assist people with the copy editing. And the other thing that we do, extremely important, is we have collaborated with AuthorAID, Jennifer's organization, for the past 4 or 5 years to jointly present free courses on writing up research. So the courses that we have collaborated on focus exclusively on but of course AuthorAID does do more than just environmental contamination. So to that end, I'd like to introduce my colleague Jennifer Chapin, who will now present on what AuthorAID does.
Great, just give me 1 second here. Okay, can everyone see my screen? Is the website?
Yes, we can see your screen, Jennifer.
Great. So as Andy provided an overview of briefly, I work for ENASP.
Jennifer, if I may, just sorry. There is an echo when you speak.
Yes, I know. I can hear that too.
Okay. Could we please make sure that everyone mutes their?
Is that better?
Their microphones.
Yeah. Give me 1 second. Is that better?
Yeah, that works better. Yeah.
Okay, great. Sorry about that, everybody. Let's go back to ENASP. So INASP is an organization that effectively, as it says as the top here, focuses on research and knowledge at the heart of development. And effectively what we do is we work with institutions and universities in developing countries to support them to do a number of things. We have three main programs. The first program is AuthorAID, which I'll go into a little bit later in more detail. The second program is on open access. So this is working very closely with universities in developing countries to increase their capacity to negotiate e-resources and books. So we work directly with publishers in this essence, and we also work with libraries to help them build skills to negotiate for sort of discounted access to resources. And we have a really interesting stat here, which is that over the past sort of 15 years of INASP's life, we have provided books for 4 million students and researchers in over 1,600 universities. So that's e-books and e-journals. And that's represented a savings annually of $92 million. So it's been quite a lot of work to do that. And obviously these are sort of abstract figures, but this is what we think, this is the impact that we think we've had over this time through the work that we've been doing. We also, I should say quickly that one of the great things about INASP is that we have country pages. So you can go on there and look for your country if you're in a low or middle income country. So for example, let's look for El Salvador. And what you can see is the work that's been done in your country on research access or on research production and communication. So for El Salvador, you can see that INASP negotiates with international publishers to secure national licenses on behalf of the CBUES. So that would be the organization that we work with to provide that for the entire country. One of the other big programs of INASP is called Journals Online. And this is an initiative to improve the accessibility and visibility of research from low-income countries. So what we've done is we've worked with a number of different countries, institutions, to create journal online platforms. And you can see here at the bottom that there are currently 357 journals across the Journals Online with over 39,000 articles, of which 95% are open access full text. We've got a bit more information if you're interested in what's included in the journals, what's it all about. You can also see at the side here that these are the Journals Online that we have at the minute. And here's a bit more information. So we have some journals online that we work with and support and manage. So Bangladesh, Latin America, Mongolia, Nepal, Sri Lanka. And then we have some journals that we have handed over in country. So one of the biggest ones is the African Journals Online. We still work quite closely with them, but they manage everything. Okay. And one of the other interesting things that we've done with Journals Online is we, in Bangladesh and Sri Lanka, we've worked with journalists to issue press releases based on some of the journal articles that we've published. So you can see here, we've started to send out news articles and press releases on some of the sort of journals that have quite a bit of impact, we think are interesting. So for this one, we have 1/3 of the adolescent girls in Bangladesh miss school during menstruation due to lack of sanitary facilities. So that's one of the things that we've been trying to do to increase the visibility of these journals. And I think so far we've seen there has been a bit of an impact, and these have been picked up by some sort of national publications within the country, national news organizations. And the last program before I talk about AuthorAID that INASP manages is called VACA-ECO. This is a program that's about to come to an end, where we've been working with Uganda, Ghana, and Zimbabwe to support their government workers and civil servants to improve their ability to use evidence in their policymaking. And one of the great outcomes of this has been this evidence-informed policymaking toolkit, which is quite a large toolkit. As you can see here, it's very long, but luckily we've been able to break it down into smaller pieces on our website. And one of the ones that people use the most is this communicating evidence toolkit. So there's a module which you can open so you don't have to read the entire thing. And essentially you can go through it and it will help you understand, you know, the high level information that you can put into a policy brief It'll also give ideas for a workshop, for example, if you wanted to run a workshop on communicating evidence to policymakers. I'll talk about AuthorAID now. I'm not sure how many people have heard of AuthorAID before, but this is our website. We call ourselves a global network. So I'll just switch to our leaflet quickly. We call ourselves a global network of researchers. At the minute, we have 14,000 researchers from 174 countries who are registered on our website. And as you can see, we're quite, I suppose, evenly scattered throughout the world, but as you can see, the majority are from Africa. And we have quite a lot from sort of South Asia, India, Bangladesh, Nepal, Sri Lanka. Now, the website has quite a lot of things that are sort of benefits for researchers. And again, this is a program that was developed to support developers to publish their work. The first thing that was developed on the website was what we call the mentoring platform. And this is for anybody who wants a mentor or somebody who wants to be a mentor. At the minute, we have about 2,000 people who are registered within this mentoring platform. Not everybody is active, but quite a lot of them are routinely doing tasks. So as you can see, we've got, you can kind of go to this page, you can learn a bit more, you can find a mentor, you can learn more about the mentoring scheme. If you're interested in becoming a mentor because you're a mid-career researcher and you would like to support researchers in low and middle income countries to publish their work, then you can also learn more about that here. And we're also working quite a bit more at AuthorAID to increase the use of our website in collaborating. And we will be doing quite a bit of work later this year to create a collaboration portal, so to speak, or a forum on our website that sort of provides the opportunity for researchers to talk to each other, to collaborate on research. Perhaps if they're a researcher in Ghana and they want to talk about, you know, what is happening in Ghana, some of the opportunities. All of these things we hope will be part of this new forum. So I suppose keep your eyes peeled for that in the future. And I should also say we have a Spanish website. So at the minute we collaborate quite closely with Latindex, which is in Latin America, and they run our online course in Spanish. And I'll talk a little bit more about the online course here. So this is probably one of the biggest things that we do at AuthorAID is we run these massive open online courses, we call them. And these are courses we run twice a year for on research writing. This year we'll be adding a proposal writing module at the end of that. So they're either 6-week or 8-week courses. We tend to draw between 1,000 and 2,000 participants per course. And these are facilitated by some of the trainers that we have at AuthorAID, and more they're facilitated by partners that we have in developing countries or mentors that we've had through our network who are now able to facilitate and support the online course. So I'm happy to answer any more questions about that if you have that afterwards. Okay, I've already done that. I should also say that on our website we've got quite a lot of resources, and you can see, I mean, at the minute on the side, I've narrowed down to courses. Now, if I get rid of that, we have quite a lot of resources, and they've all been tagged here on the side. So these are either resources that AuthorAID has produced, resources that some of our partners have uploaded, maybe they're articles that others have written on publishing that we think will be interesting, or so often what we do is we also highlight courses in areas other than research writing that we think our network would be interested in taking. And of course, in all instances, the courses that we would highlight in these resources would be fully free as our courses. Okay. And so the last thing I wanted to just briefly talk about is some of the work that we've been doing. Sorry, sorry to make you a bit dizzy there. Some of the work that we've been doing is supporting women researchers, and this came out of a partnership that we have with the University of Dodoma in Tanzania. And that's another strand of the AuthorAID work, is that in addition to the website, we have started working quite closely with some of our partner institutions. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to build their capacity to run training in research writing. So that's to run workshops and to run online courses. Now, with the University of Dodoma, we started a partnership in 2015 to run these research writing courses. And after the first workshop that they ran, they felt that there were quite a lot of issues that were preventing women from being able to take these workshops. And as a result, we started sort of tentatively to work with them on gender inequalities within the institution. Now, I say tentatively because this is a new area for INASP, and we had never really worked in this sort of gender mainstreaming in the past. But what's really interesting is that out of this partnership with the University of Dodoma, we have produced what's called a Gender Mainstreaming in Higher Education Toolkit, which is essentially a workshop program. So if an institution wants to run a 3-day workshop to sort of investigate the types of things that might be affecting their women researchers, everything is in that toolkit, and it's sort of something you can take and run with. So it's here available on inas.info/gender-toolkit. And just lastly, I thought you might be interested in some of the things that we've had in our discussion group, which I should also mention briefly. Go back here. So we have a discussion list which you can join here at the site, and this is a discussion group that is email based. You can, there's about 1,000 people who are on there right now. Any questions are available if somebody wants help to identify a predatory journal, if somebody wants help to understand where they can go to find editing. That's all available in the discussion group. And a few months ago, we asked the researchers in our discussion group what their biggest challenge was. And it was quite interesting, some of the responses that we got. Quite a lot of people mentioned a lack of research funding, which I think is not necessarily just an issue in low and middle income countries, but an issue in many places, I think, as we know. A lot mentioned sort of writing in the English language is a very big issue, and having to conform to the standards for high quality English writing that a number of publishers and journals will require. A lot of people had troubles finding relevant or genuine journals. People mentioned they were frustrated with delays, with peer review, things taking quite a long time. And a lot of people had issues with getting their papers accepted because they weren't necessarily up to the quality of what the journal had expected, which again is why AuthorAID does exist, and why we run these online courses. And the idea is to sort of build that capacity. So we do have people who take our online courses more than once in order to sort of brush up on their writing skills. Quite a lot of our researchers as well mentioned that publication costs, sort of insufficient laboratory equipment. And a lot of people said they had trouble finding a mentor, which again is why we have this mentoring platform. I should say that we do have a shortage of mentors at the minute. So we have quite a lot of people who are looking for mentoring, and we have quite a lot of active mentors. But it's certainly true to say that we have more people who want mentoring than we have mentors. So if anybody knows of anyone who's keen or interested to support in that capacity, please do share the website and share the mentoring page. I think that's mainly it for me. I'm happy to answer any questions at this point. Anything else that you'd like to know? And thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Sandy and Jennifer. Well, indeed, as Jennifer just mentioned, if anyone has any questions for either of the two, please don't hesitate to jump in right now. Well, if I may, Jennifer, I did have a brief question. You mentioned that you have specific gender programs for women, especially women researchers. What are some of the problems that these women researchers can face that maybe that men don't face?
That's interesting because the University of Dodoma actually, after they ran this first workshop, they ran focus groups. with quite a few different groups within the university. So, male senior staff versus female senior staff, male PhD students versus female PhD students. And what they found is that there were quite a lot of issues preventing women from progressing in their career. So there were sort of gender stereotypes that came up. And in one instance, one of the examples that they used was that some women professors were called by sort of a colloquial name. They were called mama in Tanzania, which is, a sort of affectionate name. But in fact, when we spoke to them, they said women don't want to be called that. It means that we are not called professor in the way that men are called professor. So that was one of them. There were quite a lot of safety issues, particularly at the University of Dodoma, because the campuses were quite far apart from each other, which meant there were safety issues on campus. Things were not necessarily well lit. It wasn't easy to get transportation between the different sites. That was quite an issue. And there was a lack of female mentors. And it's interesting in working with the University of Dodoma in that we've worked quite closely with the three most senior women there, who each had quite a large department or one of the colleges. But they are the only three women out of this university of 25,000 students and 7 different colleges. And so they've had to work closely with each other to support each other. But a lot of women in other university settings might not have a female mentor at the top. And we've also heard from some other researchers in other countries that sometimes there are certain barriers that women face in these more senior male researchers taking their data seriously, or even in sort of their ability to do research. For example, in Tanzania, we were talking to some women who are fisheries researchers, and they were saying that it's actually tough for them sometimes to go out and collect data because they're not able to go on some of the boats. Some of the fishermen won't let women on their boats. And so, that's just another barrier that I suppose we don't think about when we're thinking about just getting our research finished.
Okay. There is another, thank you very much for that response. There is another question, an anonymous question. One person says that they have several U.S. graduate students at their university, and they're wondering what would be the best way to explore working with AuthorAID. Could you elaborate more on that, please?
So I'm assuming these are U.S. graduate students who are sort of early career researchers.
Yes.
It depends. I mean, I should say that our online courses are certainly geared to researchers in their early career and in low and middle income countries where they don't necessarily have the support networks or the sort of training that a lot of researchers will get in high income countries like the United States. So if these American graduate students have really good English language skills, they've got good peer review skills, they're certainly able to act as a mentor on the website. A lot of the mentoring relationships that we do have on their web through AuthorAID are actually editing. So a lot of researchers just need help with the English-led editing. They can't necessarily afford to pay some of the high prices that come with professional editing support, and so they use the mentor in that capacity. So if they wanted to help, that would certainly be an opportunity. And like I mentioned earlier, they can join the discussion group, which is available on our homepage. And on that discussion group, as I said, there will be a number of questions. It's very active. There'll be a number of questions throughout the day. And a lot of people just need someone to help answer their questions or point them in the right direction. And there'll be questions about everything. It might be about methodology. And I would also say that keep your eyes peeled, as I mentioned, for sort of a further collaboration portal on our website later this year. What we really want is for that to connect research from around the world and not necessarily just within low and middle income countries. So that could be an opportunity to collaborate on a piece of research in another country, for example.
Okay, and so collaborations between countries, between like a developed and a low and middle income country could work as well?
Yeah, that's what we're aiming to do. We're aiming for it to be, between universities in the UK, in North America, in Europe, wherever, and universities in Africa, Asia, Latin America. I think we feel like there might not necessarily be that opportunity right now online to find researchers from low-income countries. So we're investigating it and we're figuring out the best way to introduce this on our website.
Okay, thank you very much. Any more questions from our audience?
Hello,
Yes.
this is Marie Concoder.
Yes, go ahead, Marie.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, I had a question. I'm not sure whether you touched on it in your presentation, but I see on your website that you have a program that says training the trainers. Could you elaborate a little bit how do you do that?
Is that, sorry, are you looking on the resources page?
No, I'm looking at how we work, methodology and approaches.
Oh, yes. Okay. So that's on the INASP website. Yeah.
So
that's actually one of the central roles that INASP does play in a lot of our programs. Because we consider ourselves a capacity building organization, we do a lot of training of trainers. And so like I mentioned earlier with the access to e-resources, we work with library consortia in countries, which is a network of librarians within a country. And through that consortia, we do a lot of training in negotiating access to resources, discounted access, negotiating licensing rights. So that's certainly one type of training of the trainer. And I mentioned briefly how in AuthorAID we work quite closely with a number of institutions to run their own writing courses. And again, in that way, we run training of the trainers at the beginning of that relationship to train their senior staff in coordinating writing workshops and running writing workshops. And we've also in the last year started to work on supporting them to facilitate their own online courses. So yes, it's quite a lot of training of the trainers is certainly something that we consider, a real focused area. Within AuthorAID, we're actually finalizing a training of the trainer toolkit in the next few months, and our plan is to put that on the website and make it freely available to anybody who wants to take it and within our own institution wants to be able to train their own trainers in whatever area it is, whatever type of expertise. So certainly if you're interested in that, I would say, check into the website in the next few months. Or if you join our discussion group or register on the AuthorAID website, you should get sent that as a link once it's available. I hope that helps.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Okay, thank you for those questions. Does anybody else have any other questions for either Jennifer or Sandy? Okay, if there's no more questions, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. Please do not forget that if you do have any more questions that you want to ask at a later date, please don't hesitate to send me an email. It's lucy@pureearth.org, and I would be happy to forward your questions on to Jennifer or Sandy. Please also keep in mind that these pollution info sessions will continue to happen every 2 weeks from now on. The next one will be Thursday, March 9th at 8 a.m. New York time. It will be on ASGM technologies. So it'll be about, is mercury really needed in artisanal and small-scale gold mining? And well, so we hope you guys can join. And of course, you can find the connection info as well as the videos of these past info sessions on the GAHP websites. And the connection info will be the same for all of the upcoming info sessions. We hope you all enjoyed this info session, and we hope to see you next time for another one. Thank you very much to all of you.